You don't chase, you attract. And the moment you understand that is the moment everything begins to shift. Because chasing is a language of lack. It screams desperation. It whispers insecurity. It announces to the world that you don't believe you're enough on your own. When you chase, you're not leading. You're begging. You're not creating. You're clinging. And here's the truth no one wants to admit. People can feel when you're desperate. They can smell it. They know when you're trying too hard, texting too much, asking for attention that's not being freely given. And instead of drawing them closer, it pushes them away. Because nothing is more repelling than someone who doesn't believe they have value unless someone else validates it. But when you flip the switch, when you stop chasing and start owning your presence, everything changes. You become calm, still, confident. You stop asking, what do they think of me? And start asking, how do I feel around them? You stop waiting for invitations and start choosing your own direction. You stop checking your phone and start checking your energy. Chasing is noise. Attraction is gravity. It's silent. It's strong. And it doesn't beg. It doesn't chase. It pulls. You want to be the one who pulls. The one who doesn't need to be loud to be noticed. The one who doesn't need to force connections because your energy speaks louder than your words ever could. The moment you stop running after people is the moment they start wondering why. The moment you go quiet is the moment they start getting curious. Because when you chase, you're predictable. You're easy to read, easy to use, easy to control. But when you stop, when you choose yourself instead, you become a mystery. You become rare. And nothing is more powerful than rarity in a world addicted to attention. Everyone's chasing something: validation, love, success, followers. But what if you didn't? What if you just stayed grounded, worked on yourself, elevated your mindset, mastered your emotions, and moved with calm intention? You'd become magnetic. Because people are tired of noise. They're tired of pressure. They're drawn to peace, to presence, to power that doesn't yell. And here's the thing. Chasing is rooted in fear. The fear of being alone. The fear of not being chosen. The fear of missing out. But attraction is rooted in certainty, in self-worth, in the belief that what is meant for you will find you, not because you chased it, but because you became the kind of person who naturally draws it in. The truth is, when you chase, you lower yourself. You shift your entire being to match someone else's availability. You bend, you break, you compromise. But when you attract, you hold steady. You don't contort yourself to fit into someone else's world. You build your own, and those who are meant to be there, they'll find their way in, not because you dragged them, but because your light guided them. So stop chasing people who don't see you. Stop explaining yourself to those committed to misunderstanding you. Stop pouring energy into proving your worth to people who wouldn't recognize it even if you screamed it in their face. You don't need to chase. You need to align with your value, with your standards, with your power. Because the moment you do, the moment you stop running after what doesn't serve you, you make space for what does. And that's when everything changes. Energy doesn't lie. You can dress it up with words, fake a smile, put on the best version of yourself for the world to see, but the energy you carry, the frequency you vibrate on, that's what people really feel. That's what the universe really responds to. You don't get what you want. You get what you are. You can't fake alignment. You can't pretend peace. You can't lie your way into attracting better if your core is still rooted in fear, neediness, or unworthiness. If your energy says, I'm not enough, then even the things you get will slip through your hands because you'll subconsciously sabotage them. You'll doubt them. You'll chase to keep them. You'll panic when they don't validate you fast enough. But when your energy says, I'm whole, everything changes. Because wholeness doesn't chase. It doesn't panic. It doesn't need to cling. It simply is. And that state of being is magnetic. The truth is, you are always attracting. Always. The only question is, what are you attracting right now? Who are you attracting with your current energy? Are you pulling in people who take more than they give because your energy says, I'll accept crumbs? Are you attracting chaos because your inner world is unsettled? Or are you pulling in calm, respect, value because that's the energy you live and breathe every single day? You attract what mirrors you, not what you wish for. That's why no amount of affirmations or vision boards will work if your energy is still screaming lack, fear, and self-doubt. You can repeat, I am worthy 1,000 times. But if your actions show otherwise, if your boundaries are weak, if your presence is unsure, the world won't believe you. And neither will you. Energy is truth. It's the silent signal you send out every time you enter a room, every time you speak, every time you decide who gets access to you. You teach people how to treat you not with your words, but with your energy. The energy of someone who knows they are valuable. That energy is unshakable. It doesn't over-explain. It doesn't overstay. It doesn't overgive to prove anything. It simply walks in alignment with its worth. And that alone changes the entire dynamic. The people who used to ignore you suddenly feel your absence. The ones who played games can't get under your skin anymore. You're no longer playing from a position of lack, trying to win love or attention. You're just being, and that being is powerful enough to draw in exactly what belongs. Stop worrying about how to attract better. Focus on being better, not for others, but for yourself. Sharpen your boundaries, clarify your standards, heal your wounds, raise your baseline, because when your internal world rises, your external world has no choice but to follow. It's not magic, it's alignment. You want to attract peace? Be peaceful. You want to attract power? Be powerful. You want to attract loyalty, respect, real love? Be the embodiment of those things. And the people, opportunities, and energy that match that version of you, they will come. You won't need to beg. You won't need to chase. Because you're no longer projecting lack. You're radiating strength. And strength attracts strength, always. Detachment is not about not caring. It's about caring from a place of power, not from a place of panic. It's about being fully present, fully committed, fully alive in the moment, and still completely free. Because the truth is, when you're too attached, you kill the very thing you want to attract. You strangle it, you chase it, you suffocate it with your need to control, to guarantee, to possess. And people can feel that. They feel when your love is really just fear dressed in affection. They feel when your attention is just a demand in disguise. But when you detach, when you say, I desire this, but I don't need it to feel whole, you create space. You give the thing you want room to choose you back. You shift from control to trust. And in that shift, you become magnetic. Because nothing is more attractive than someone who is full without you, calm without you, steady without you, and still chooses to be with you. That's real power. That's rare. Everyone is used to being chased. Everyone is used to being needed. But when they meet someone who wants them but doesn't need them, that confuses them, that challenges them, that pulls them in. Detachment is dangerous in the best way. It means you've mastered yourself. You've conquered the part of you that begs, the part of you that waits by the phone, the part of you that reads too much into silence. You've stepped into your power. The kind of power that doesn't need to prove, that doesn't cling, that doesn't negotiate its worth. You stop chasing validation because you validate yourself. You stop clinging to temporary comfort because you've built peace within. And in that state, in that detached, grounded, unbothered state, you become the most attractive version of yourself. You don't panic when someone pulls away. You don't beg for love. You don't fear losing what's meant to stay. Because you know, anything you have to beg for isn't worth keeping. Anything you have to force isn't real. And anything that doesn't flow back to you naturally isn't aligned with who you are becoming. Detachment isn't cold. It's clarity. It's the highest form of emotional intelligence, knowing when to lean in and knowing when to let go. Knowing that you don't lose anything real by walking away. Knowing that your peace is more valuable than someone's temporary attention. The ones who are meant for you will never be pushed away by your detachment. They'll be drawn in by it. They'll respect it. They'll rise to meet it. Because your energy says, I am whole on my own. But if you come correct, there's space for you here. That's how you attract. Not with pressure, not with panic, with presence, with peace. With the quiet power of a person who has nothing to prove and everything to give, but only to the right ones. That's what detachment does. It filters out the noise. It exposes who's really there for you and who's only there for what they can take. So stop begging, stop explaining, stop gripping things so tight they can't breathe. Let go, stand tall, and watch what finds you when you no longer chase. If you want to attract the right people, the right opportunities, the right energy, the first thing you must do is build a life that's worth attracting to. Because here's the secret no one talks about. People don't come to empty spaces. They don't flock to chaos or desperation or confusion. They are drawn to fullness, to clarity, to strength. So instead of chasing people or approval, chase growth. Chase mastery over your own mind, your emotions, your habits. Chase the kind of life that demands respect, that commands attention, that invites connection on your terms. What does that look like? It looks like setting clear goals and crushing them. It looks like creating routines that fuel your mind and body. It looks like building financial freedom so you're not trapped in someone else's timeline. It looks like surrounding yourself with high standards so low-energy, toxic influences have no place. When you invest in yourself like this, your life becomes magnetic. You become a lighthouse in the storm, a beacon that draws in those who resonate with your frequency. You stop chasing approval because your approval comes from within. You stop begging for validation because your value is self-evident. The people who belong in your life, the ones who bring you joy, support your vision, uplift your spirit, they find you naturally. They don't need to be chased. They want to be near your energy. They want to learn from it, grow with it, be inspired by it. And the best part? When you build a life like this, you don't waste time on distractions or toxic attachments. You have no space for people who don't add value, who don't respect your time, who don't see your worth. You become selective. You become powerful. And power attracts power. So don't focus on who you want to attract. Focus on who you want to be. Build your skills, build your mindset, build your health, build your wealth, build your peace. When you do that, you build an ecosystem that naturally pulls in the right people and pushes away the wrong ones. Because energy attracts energy, vibes attract vibes, and you are the curator of the life you want to live. So start building. Not tomorrow, not when you feel ready, now. Because the longer you wait, the more you waste your own potential chasing what will never come to you if you don't become the person worthy of it first. The life you want, the love you want, the respect you want, it all begins inside you. Build it, live it, own it, and watch everything and everyone you want show up on your doorstep, not because you ran after them, but because you became the force they couldn't resist. The game changes when you realize your worth. It's like flipping a switch that turns the world upside down, not by changing the people around you, but by changing the way you see yourself. Because before you truly believe in your own value, every interaction is a gamble, every relationship a test, every moment filled with doubt and second-guessing. You chase approval, validation, love, anything that will momentarily soothe the ache of not feeling enough. You bend over backward, you lower your standards, you tolerate disrespect just to keep someone close. But once you realize your worth, all that changes overnight. Suddenly, you're no longer playing defense. You're on offense. You're setting boundaries without apology. You're walking away from situations that don't serve you. You're refusing to settle for less than you deserve. And that's when the real power kicks in, because worth is not something others give you. It's something you claim for yourself. When you hold that claim firmly, no one else can shake it. No one can pull you into their drama, guilt trips, or manipulation games. You become untouchable in a way, not because you're cold or distant, but because you're anchored in self-respect. And here's the magic. When you stop begging for scraps, you open up space for a feast. When you stop chasing love, you become love itself. When you stop lowering your standards, you raise your entire life. People notice, they respect, they respond. Because energy shifts when worth is claimed. Your presence commands attention. Your voice carries weight. Your choices become clear and intentional. You don't react to others' drama. You respond from a place of strength. You don't seek permission to be yourself. You demand it. This is the point where attraction becomes effortless, because you're no longer desperate or needy. You're a force, a magnet, a powerhouse of self-love and confidence. The game isn't about chasing anymore. It's about knowing you're enough and letting the world catch up. This shift doesn't just improve your relationships. It transforms every area of your life, your career, your friendships, your personal growth. Because worth radiates beyond the surface. It changes your mindset, your habits, your choices. So stop looking outside for confirmation. Start looking inside for conviction. Claim your worth like your life depends on it, because in many ways, it does. The moment you do, the game changes forever. You become the player with the winning hand, the one who doesn't need to chase because you already hold the power within. Your presence is your ultimate attraction. It's not about what you say, what you do, or even what you have. It's about the energy you bring into any room, any conversation, any situation. Presence is the silent language that speaks louder than words, the vibe that draws people in or pushes them away without a single sentence spoken. When you cultivate presence, you become unforgettable. You become the person others want to be around, to learn from, to support, and to connect with on a deeper level. Presence is rooted in confidence, grounded in authenticity, and fueled by self-awareness. It means showing up fully, without masks or pretenses, owning your story, your strengths, your flaws. It means being comfortable with silence, with stillness, with yourself. Because presence is not noise. It's a calm, steady force, like a lighthouse in the fog, guiding others without demanding anything in return. The people who sense your presence know they're in the company of someone real, someone who doesn't need to prove their worth because it radiates naturally. This kind of energy is magnetic. It pulls in respect, loyalty, and genuine connection. You don't have to chase attention when your presence commands it effortlessly. And presence isn't just about how others see you. It's about how you see yourself. When you cultivate inner peace and self-love, your presence becomes an extension of that. It becomes unshakable. No matter the chaos around you, no matter the noise or drama, your presence remains solid, grounded, and inviting. That's why people gravitate toward it. That's why attraction happens naturally when you embody presence. So, stop trying to chase what's already inside you. Stop bending over backward to fit into someone else's expectations. Stand tall, show up, be fully present in your own life, and watch how everything changes. Because your presence isn't just your power, it's your ultimate attraction. It's the force that pulls in the right people, the right opportunities, and the right energy. And once you own that, chasing becomes obsolete. You simply attract. You simply are.